Hi there, learners. Good evening and welcome to our first stream for the year thus far. Um, Welcome to those who haven't been with us before. Glad to have you here as we go into session one of our exam prep because we know we are headed towards the June exams. Okay, so hopefully through these sessions, guys, you will have all your fears allayed, everything sorted out, and you'll be ready to tackle that exam. Okay, so please, just as you are joining, let me know where you are joining from. I'd love to put the comments up on the screen. We are streaming out to Facebook, to our Facebook page, to YouTube, trying to be all over the show to help as many learners as possible. So, yeah, do let me know in the comments where you are joining me from. Okay, so because tonight's session is our introductory session, we're going to look quickly at what we need to do and what needs to be covered for our June exam. And I'm going to go through grade 10, grade 11, and grade 12. Now, this is important because the grade 11s build on what they did in grade 10. The grade 12s are going to build on what they've done in grade 11 and grade 10. It's really only the grade 10s who are not building on anything, okay, except maybe their own prior experience. So I'm going to go through the different modules we need to know. And then also I'm going to be looking at a few theory questions from grade 10, from grade 11, from grade 12, how to approach it, what to sort of think about, what they're actually asking you, and when it comes to the answers, what sort of answers folks are looking for. Okay, where do you actually get the marks? Because many times you are given an answer and you're not getting all the marks. Okay, so I'm going to start with grade 10, and I'm going to go straight to the textbook. I just want to check out here. So ideally, what should be happening, remember in term one we did from the theory side, module 1.1 to 1.5. Then we dealt with word in terms of our prac. Okay. Then when it came to term two, we looked at module 1.6 and 1.7, which was extended software and hardware concepts. We looked at networks, right? It was our first taste of networks, grade 10. And then we also touched on, Word again. And we're going into a little bit of Excel and some of Excel's calculations. Okay, so that was the start for grade 10. When it came to grade 11, we were looking at, let me just get it here. So it was module 1.1 and 1.2 for the theory. Okay. Then our prac was mainly on Word and Excel and a little bit of databases. That was in term one. Then obviously we just built on that in term two to where we are now. So I'm just mentioning this so that you can see when I start going through some of these questions, you'll see where it's actually coming from. Okay, guys, I don't see any movement in the comment section there. So yeah, let me know. There we go. There we go. Yes. Voted asking there, will it be available later again? Oh, load shedding. Yeah, I feel your pain. I feel your pain. It will be available on YouTube. So yeah, you can always just go and jump in there. And hello to Kanyisa. Yes, lovely. You're joining us all the way from Durban. Hope things are okay there. Let's see, grade 12. So obviously grade 12 is going to be building on grade 11. And that's important because there's a lot of concepts that sometimes get asked in the papers. And you might ask, but I didn't see it in the textbook. But these are things that you should have learned and remembered from grade 11. So there's the first step. Okay. If you haven't gone through your grade 11 work, if you've got a friend with a grade 11 textbook, you want to just go through that work again, just familiarize yourself so that if any questions get asked going back, well, then you'll know about them. Oh, voter. So you're joining us from Limpopo. Well, glad to have you here. Nati joining in from Vaal. Lovely guys. Okay. So let's have a look for grade 12. We're looking at computers in everyday lives, hardware devices, hardware recommendations, and That's one video or one session I'm going to do all by itself, right? When we look at the specs of a PC, because grade 12s, that can easily be a 30 or 40 mark question. Just letting you know, okay? Then we went into networks, Word, spreadsheets, and databases. And you can see grade 12s with databases, it was revising skills. So where were these skills built? These skills were built in grade 11, okay? And then calculation. So we're not starting databases in grade 12. We're building on what we've already learned, okay? And then also there should have been a bit of web design. So that, Scully from Newcastle, welcome. And an overview of what we should be covering or what you would then end up being examined on, okay? Bear also in mind the following. Do take note of current trends in technology in the world at the moment. So, with things happening with Twitter, for example, your various social media platforms, all those things, they can be pulled into the paper as well. So don't think, some of these new tech, items, it's just not there anymore. Nobody's going to ask on that. They will ask. Last year, the November paper had, I know with one of the exams, it had a section on cryptocurrency. So it was asking you, what is Bitcoin? What is cryptocurrency? How does this whole thing work? How are people making money? So it just showed that was something that was popular in the media, and they brought that in. Obviously, CAT wants to remain relevant, right? And is the most important subject. That's just my unbiased opinion. Okay, so let's go and look at some of the questions that can be asked. And generally what you'll find is you'll have a breakdown as follows. So let me just add this here, and I'm just going to type it in as we go along. We usually first have a section dealing with multiple choice. Okay, now guys, I have said this many times before. When it comes to multiple choice, going way over now. Okay. When it comes to multiple choice, please, let me just move this out because I'm going to give you a few examples. When it comes to multiple choice, just think a little bit. Okay. Let me just change the setup here. All right. So just think a little bit, because two of those answers have, hey, Liesel joining us from Bethlehem in the Free State. Yeah, lovely to have all you guys with me. So two of those answers obviously have nothing to do with the question whatsoever. And one is correct, and the other one is obviously there to just trip you up a little bit. So let me find a good example for you. Let me just use one from an old grade 12 paper so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay. So here's one I'm going to bring across. Okay, this one, for example, says a blinking vertical bar. Dylan from the Western Cape, glad to have you here. A blinking vertical bar that shows the position of the text. So let me just bring that into where we are. Right. So I'm just taking this straight from the PDF. A blinking vertical bar that shows the position of the text being typed in a text editor is called what? Okay, so when we look at the question, first of all, a vertical bar, that is going to be, and I'm going to give you the answer now. Anyway, when we think of a vertical bar, it's going to be a bar that's running top to bottom, right? That is vertical. Remember, the horizon is there when you're sitting on the beach and you're checking out the waves and the lovely sunset. That's your horizon. So they're talking about a vertical bar that is blinking all the time, that shows the position of the text being typed in a text editor. Now, when they talk about a text editor, this can be Word, it can be WordPad. gee whiz, it can be anything where we are typing text, because you're going to have this blinking little symbol. Is it going to be highlighting? No, it's not. Okay. Is it going to be a border? Does a border blink? No, it doesn't. What about a symbol? No, it can't be a symbol. So do you see, just by process of elimination, I'm sitting with cursor, even though I knew that as the answer anyway, just by looking, number one, at the question, trying to understand what they are asking me, and then going to the answer. I know many of you, what you do is you just go there and you think, oh, no, it's fine. I'll just check the options and I'll just choose the best of the options. And then what happens? It doesn't end well. Okay. So let me use another example. Let's see. Okay, here's one. Also, guys, please don't feel scared or afraid to ask questions. In fact, I would love you to leave your questions in the chat here for me, so that after this whole session, I can go back and have a look at it and then answer those in the next session that I'm going to have. Okay, so here's one. The communication medium commonly used for an ADSL internet connection. All right, so we need to now look at a few things. When we talk about communication medium, what are we actually talking about? What is meant by a communication medium? We're talking about what is going to be used in order to get that communication from A to B. So if I'm going onto the internet, and that's why they're saying commonly used for an ADSL internet connection. So we know ADSL, it's our physical cable that we end up plugging in. It's a permanent connection to the internet. It stands for your asynchronous digital subscriber line, if I remember correctly. So just understanding what that is. Now they're asking me in the question, okay, well, what am I going to use, or what is commonly used for me to connect to the internet via ADSL? Then they then they give me the options of a copper cable. Can that be an option? Yes, it can. What about radio waves? Well, radio waves is going to be wireless. What is this? This is a wired permanent connection. Okay, so that's out. What about fiber optic? Well, as the name implies, it's fiber. Okay, so that's out. The last one says sound waves, again, wirelessly. So just again, by process of elimination, what have we done? What have we done? We have knocked that out of the park completely. And so we know our answer is going to be the copper cable. Okay. Guys, are you with me? Are you seeing the way I am approaching this? Okay. Let's have a look at one more before we go to the next section. Let's see. Okay. Right, here's one. All right, here they ask, which one of the following would you use to solve the problem when your computer randomly hangs after a driver update? Okay, so what are we referring to now? When we talk about a driver update, what is a driver? Number one, it is a piece of software that tells the computer how to work with a piece of hardware. So if I, for example, have a printer and I have a printer driver, that's a piece of software that tells my computer, hey, listen, there's a printer. This is the make. This is the model. This is what it can do. That's what a driver does. It's not the guy who drives the car or the taxi. Okay, no, completely different driver, right? So that is your driver software. It's a program. So when I'm updating my drivers, it means that I'm wanting to get the latest version of that. Okay, guys, let me just pause it quickly. I'll be with you now. what are we going to do now when we go through this process? We sort out, or we are updating our driver software, and then what happens? The computer hangs. Now, when we talk about hanging, it means the computer is basically freezing. It is non-responsive. Okay, so I'm clicking, and nothing's happening. It's just sort of circling. What can you do? Having gone through this now, do you understand the question? Do you understand what they are asking or wanting you to give them, right? This is without even looking at the options. So let's go and look at the options. The first option says system restore. Now, what is system restore? Again, if we know these concepts, it's going to help us. System restore will restore the PC to a particular point in time. Okay, so that could have been 2 weeks ago, it could have been a week ago. That's what it does. Your data doesn't get lost, but it takes your settings back to that particular point in time. Does that sound like something that's going to help to unfreeze the PC or stop it from hanging? No. A disk cleanup, that's option number 2. Now, we know what disk cleanup does. Disk cleanup is just there to clean up unnecessary files, temporary files, things like that. Is that going to help us? Probably not. Then we've got our system backup. Okay. Now, system backup, if we've made a backup of our PC, again, it can take it back and restore things to that point in time as per that backup. But then it's going to restore everything according to what you backed up. So yeah, that's a lot more intensive than your system restore. And then we've got the task scheduler. Okay, so of the options, I would probably have to say, because the task scheduler is just there to schedule tasks. When must a particular task run? That's not going to solve my problem when it comes to the particular scenario. Now, the only thing I can do, because remember now, this driver software could cause major problems. So all I'm going to do now is, of the options I've got here, I'll probably end up going with a system restore so that the PC can go back to the point in time before I actually worked with that driver software. Okay, so this is how you can then approach your multiple choice. Guys, obviously, it's going to be different for grade 10, 11, and 12 in terms of the level. And again, it'll be based on the relevant content. Okay, then the next section is usually a match the column. And I'm just going to take this over here. I'm just going to take this off my screen. Let's pop this up here quickly. Hope you guys are still with me. Let me know if there is anything that you need me specifically to deal with in our next session. And then I can make a note of that and get that sorted for you. Okay. So let's have a look at this over here. So here I've got a section of match the column. And we can see that I'll be given the term in the one column, and I'm going to be given the definition in the other. So I've got to match up, and this is why, whether it's grade 10, 11, or 12, it doesn't matter. You need to know and understand your concepts, okay? All those basic concepts, because when I go through these concepts over here, and I have to ask you, listen, what do these things mean? Before I even go to the definition and go and look through and try and choose, do you know these off by heart? If I have to ask you, what is VoIP? Can anyone tell me what is VoIP? Now, also be careful when you are asked that question, because if they ask you to define VoIP, you're going to say voice over internet protocol. But if you are asked to explain the term, then yes, you'll say it stands for voice over internet protocol. But what does it mean? It's the rules that are in place as to how voice is transmitted over the internet. Okay, that's how we explain. So be careful of those terms, define and explain, right? One will have a smaller mark allocation than the other. And this is where you need to pick up on those things. All right, we see our zombies, spyware, botnet. This is all part of malware. So already I know where I'm going over there. A survey, we know what a survey is. A survey is something we give out to people in order to get feedback, to find out what people's feelings are towards something. PPM, that stands for our pages per minute. That deals with the speed of a printer. OCR, that's our optical character recognition software, right? That, remember, we use with scanners. So we have a scanner. Remember, what does a scanner do? It takes our page with the writing on, scans it, turns it into a digital file, and the OCR software allows me then to take that and to turn it into a document that I can edit. Okay. Attributes, these are things that are attributed to a particular file. So things like read only, maybe only certain permissions, those are attributes added to a file, and then an interview. So you can see when it comes to match the column, the first thing I'm going to do is look at the terms. Are there terms that I already understand? And if there's terms that you know of by heart, go to those terms, check out the relevant definition, fill it in, tick it off on the paper, and those are done. So you've already started eliminating those things. Okay, so that is your match the column section. That you'll get. It'll be for 10, 11, and 12. Let me see if I can find some other examples here. Okay. Now, here's an example of a... okay, hang on. Let me use this. Let me use this one. I'm working like on 3 different screens here. Let's go. So mainly for the grade 11s and 12s, you'll find that we will be doing or having the true and false section. Now, this is a section that seems to every now and then, trip people up. Dominic, hi there. And Lady Smith, nice to have you with us. Eugene, lovely. Rustenburg, okay, representing there, guys. Okay, so here's one, true and false. Now, remember, I've always said to you, when something is true, it's true. There's nothing we do about it. Okay, it's true. It's a fact. Done. But when it's false, we have to say why. And in this case, this is a typical example that comes up. And it says a trackball is a computer input device that uses light technology to select objects on a display screen. Okay, so now we need to think about this. If it's true, we leave it as is. If it's false, we need to change the underlined word. Okay, so what is the underlined word? It's trackball. What is a trackball? Now, a trackball, and let me actually go and get a picture of a trackball for you. There you can see what a trackball looks like. Okay, you can see it's got a large button over there, and that's how you move the mouse. Okay, this is very good for people who have accessibility issues, right? Our impaired individuals. So that is what a trackball looks like. So if that's the case with the trackball, is this answer correct? Is the statement true? A trackball is an input device. Yes, it functions like a mouse. Okay, so it is an input device that uses light technology. No, it doesn't. To select objects on a display screen. No, it doesn't. Okay, so immediately I know, well, that is false. That is not going to work. But now I need to ask myself, okay, well, if that's the case, then what is the answer? They're saying it uses light technology in order to select an object on a screen. That's going to be a light pen. Those little light pens that you can press on, and then it'll show like a little red dot on the screen. And with some devices, you can actually select things, right? That's your light pen. So do you see how they've brought that in? Right? Oh, we've even got Hoedspruit in the house. Oh, welcome, welcome. Okay, so we've now looked at, we've just touched on the fact that we have our true and false section, we have our multiple choice, and we also have, what's the other one? Our match the column. From here, we start going into various scenarios. And please, guys, please, most of our tests and exams, especially with the June exam, it will follow a particular thread all the way through the paper, because you'll have a common theme or common scenario running through the paper. Now, they use, and we often use what we call scaffolding. Now, scaffolding is very important, because scaffolding means that you might have 4 questions. But question number 1, they might ask you, well, what is the color of this wall? And I will say, well, the color of the wall is dark gray. Then they'll say, okay, based on your answer in the previous question, what color should the wall actually be in order, to do whatever? You can see they are building on that. Then in question 3, they would build on the answer you gave in question 2. Now, while it's very nice and it does stimulate critical thinking, and all of this, just understand, for you as the learner, if you don't get the first one correct, you're going to be scaffolding away from all of these marks. Okay, you're going to fall off of that scaffolding very quickly. So please pay attention. Please, I'm gonna emphasize this as much as I can. Read your questions, please. There's 10 minutes, usually 10 minutes before you write. Muzi from Joburg, hi there. You usually have 10 minutes before you write, so please take that time, read through the paper, get your head in tune with that, what's expected of you, what you need to do. And guys, with a theory paper, generally you would start, from question number 1, you'd go all the way through. With a practical paper, you don't have to start with question number 1. You can start with any question you want to. So some of you might be strong in Excel and database as opposed to HTML and Word. So my advice to you, and again, you don't have to take it, it's entirely up to you. Start with what you are strongest in, right? In the practice especially. Go to those things that you know how to do. Do it, sort it out, tick it off on the paper, and move on to the next thing. Because remember, we generally work on 1 mark per minute. And if we work on 1 mark per minute, you can't afford to sit on a 2 mark question for 10 or 15 minutes. You are going to run out of time. And we don't want you running out of time. We want you to make use of every, available minute that you have. All right, let's bring in another question. Let's bring in another question. Yeah. Okay, let me hear from you. Let me know in the comments. What is your answer? What is your answer? Read that question and tell me what a possible answer could be. The father is trying to make use of the printer and the printer does not want to print. Give 2 possible reasons why the printer does not print. Let me know in the comments, guys. What do you think it could be? What do you think it could be? And don't be shy. Don't be shy. Let's hear what you have to say. Remember, we are here to learn. Okay? 2 reasons why it's not printing. Okay? Yes, maybe there is absolutely no paper in the printer, but remember, If there's no paper, it's still going to want to go through the process of printing. So think about this. When I click print, it goes to the printer and I start hearing movement. The printer will then tell me, listen, there isn't paper. So I wouldn't use paper as the issue. Correct. Here we go. I see one here. What about the fact that the ink cartridges could be empty? Maybe the printer is not even switched on. Maybe the printer USB cable isn't connected. Yes, it could be an empty cartridge. It could even be that he's selecting the incorrect printer. Maybe he's connecting via Wi-Fi and the Wi-Fi is down, right? So you see the scenario, you see the type of questions, and it's important to then understand what that would be, or what that answer would be. Yes, the connection between the computer and that is not right. Now, I'm going to give you 3 or 4 answers that they gave in one of the memos for this. So it could be any two, right? The printer cable to the computer is not connected, which is what most of you, did mention. The ink cartridge is empty. There's no printing connection available, and he could have chosen the wrong printer. Okay, so if you are in that sort of area with your answers, you'll generally get the marks for that. Okay. No computer connection, print to the wrong printer. Yes. The print job could be stuck in the print queue. Yes. Maybe the printer is offline. That can be the case as well. Yes, because Dylan, when you have a look here, look, remember, things have changed slightly. When we use the term computing device, now it's not just a computer. It can be printing from the phone, from a tablet, from a laptop, from a desktop computer, so anything like that. Here they are, all they're saying to us is the father's trying to make use of the printer. It doesn't say whether it's a wired connection from a laptop. It doesn't say anything like that, and the printer doesn't want to print. So this is why I'm saying to you, you can also say, well, it could be the Wi-Fi connection between his phone and the printer. The Wi-Fi could be down. He could have signal issues, anything like that, because they haven't specifically said, look, it's not a Wi-Fi connection. So, yeah, you need to just think of it like that as well. Okay, let's get 1 or 2 more, guys. I do also want to ask. I wanted to run a Kahoot quiz. So if you are interested, I'll share the date maybe Sunday afternoon or so. We can have a Kahoot quiz. So if you don't have the app, download it on your phone. If not, you can always access it from a web browser. And in this way, I'll have a quiz. We'll go through 2 or 3 quizzes, again, covering grade 10, 11, and 12. And it's lovely because you can participate and we can get everyone involved and learn at the same time. So look out for that. Could you possibly mention that the wrong printer Yes. I'm sure you can. The only problem with that is if the wrong printer driver was installed, it wouldn't work in the first place. Okay, so especially from his phone. So yeah, I think maybe don't worry about that one. Cut that one out. The father could be out of range with the printer. Yes, especially when we're talking about wireless. Okay, so very good answers there. Right, let's look for 1 or 2 more before we finish up. Okay, here's one. Let's try and pick this one. Okay. Right. So here you can see they were advised. Let me just sort this out over there. There we go. Okay. So they were advised to buy a scanner together with a computer, right? Remember, you can see now when you start reading this question, you can see it's scaffolding from something else. Okay. They were advised to buy a scanner together with a computer. Two types of scanners are available: a flatbed and a sheet fed scanner. Now they want to know more about this. Okay, remember, this is the same father that's looking to, he was busy with the printing earlier. So they want to know, first of all, what is a scanner? And then explain the difference between a flatbed scanner and a sheet fed scanner. Okay, so I'm waiting for you again. First of all, define for me what is a scanner. And it's actually 2 marks. So it's 2 marks for this. And you'd probably look at around about 4 marks for a question that looks like this. Okay. So this is a 6-mark question. This is solid stuff. Okay. So I'm waiting for you. For 2 marks, give me the definition of a scanner. Okay, Dylan jumping in there. First of all, a computing device that allows the user to make digital copies of a physical copy of a document. Okay, you're just missing one thing. Just one. Everything is fine except one. But you are definitely on the right track. Let me know. Nice. Here we go. So Mobile is saying a scanner is an input device which scans images and inputs the data into a digital device. Okay. So there's the first point. Our scanner, number one, is an input device. Okay. Let me just put that all in bold. Input device. That's the first thing. This is where you get your first mark. So you would say a scanner is an input device. If we're dealing with a printer, your first words are going to be the printer is an output device. Okay, so that's our first thing. Scanner being an input device. The next thing, as all of you have said, yes, a scanner is an input device. Now, remember, when something is an input device, what does it mean? It means that it is sending things through to the PC, right? It's going into the PC. So when I scan my document, this device takes that physical copy and turns it into a digital copy, sends it through to the PC. Okay, so that's where you get your second mark from. It is an input device that scans an image or images, we can say, scans images into a computer. You actually don't have to be more technical than that. Okay, you can give an example like text document, or anything like that. But that would be 100%, right? That would be fine because I'm getting my 1 mark from the input device over here, and I'm getting my 2nd mark from the rest of the answer over here. Okay. A scanner is a computer input device that uses a light beam to scan codes, text, or graphics. Yes, that's while that's fine, guys. I don't want you to be overly technical to the point where you've got such a huge definition that you're going to struggle to remember it. Okay, remember, you have to remember this. Okay, so we want to try and make it as simple as possible. What is a scanner? It's an input device. What does it do? It scans images into the computer. End of story, right? So there we have our 2 marks. Now, for 4 marks, what is the difference? And let me get a few pictures here. our flatbed scanner, and our sheet fed scanner. Okay, let me just show you some examples here. Okay, so here are a few examples of scanners, right? Here you can see we have our flatbed scanner. Now you can see why it's called a flatbed scanner, because it's flat, right? And it's like putting something in bed. What do? You open the covers, you put yourself in, and then you close the covers, right? So we open up the top, we put our page in, and then we close it. That's our flatbed scanner. Then we have our sheet fed scanners, which means we are putting the pages in, and it, like when you're doing photocopies, it draws that page in, right? It feeds it into the machine, and that's how it actually scans it. So this is why it's important, again, understand the concepts. Now we can go and say, okay, well, for 4 marks, what are we actually looking at? And let me see if I can bring this. Right? This is how you're going to get your 4 marks. Okay, so number 1, a flatbed scanner is slightly larger. So there's a physical difference between your flatbed scanner and your sheet fed scanner. Okay. Yes, Dylan, as the name is implying, flatbed. Hey man, don't worry if you haven't heard about this before. This is why we're here, right? To help one another, to learn, and to prepare. With our flatbed scanner, Poitomelo says flatbed scanner scans images 1 page at a time. Yes, when we look at the, let me see, where do I have? Okay, let me just use this again. When we look at our flatbed scanner over here, what do we see? We see that we can really only pop in, let me just resize this. You can see that we can only put in 1 page at a time. Now imagine having to scan in an entire book. It can take ages. However, with the sheet fed scanner, and I think there was a picture somewhere around here, with our sheet fed scanner, I can use that one over there. I can put in multiple pages, and it will take it 1 page at a time and scan it in. So there's obviously advantages between these two. Right, so the flatbed scanner is slightly larger, that's your first mark, than A4, and is used to scan photos, magazines, and printed documents, while your sheet-fed scanner is a bit smaller and allows a sheet of paper to be scanned rather than books or thick objects. So your sheet-fed scanner is going to scan a lot faster also than your flatbed scanner. Your flatbed scanner generally can only do that. Your sheet-fed scanner is usually part of a multifunction printer. So you'll have, the fact that it can do photocopies and maybe color printing, and it can scan, right? It can usually email as well. So guys, that's why it's just important to understand, what the answer should look like, where you are getting the marks from, so that you know what to put into your definition. Okay. All right. So I'm going to call it a night there. Please, guys, I will put a notice out, but probably let's work on late Sunday afternoon, maybe around about 6 o'clock again. We can look at doing a Kahoot quiz. I'll stream it live, and this will allow you to join in as well. So if you don't have it, get the Kahoot app. Have your PC ready so that you can join in as we do a nice theory and practical quiz. We're going to throw some practical elements in there as well, to just help you prepare. It's all about preparing for these June exams. Also, in the comments, let me know if there's anything specific you want me to go through in our next session, things that I can then touch on, explain, any concepts you want me to go through. But for now, I just want you to see, sort of how questions are asked, what you should be looking at, how you should be sort of, getting ready to tackle it, and where you would get your marks. I see Lindo here saying, yes, device that scans documents and converts them into digital data. That's fine for the definition of our scanner, but you must say that it's an input device, okay? You must indicate that it is an input device. Okay, guys, well, thank you so much for joining me this evening. Really glad to have you with us. Glad to be starting this again. And all the best. I'm going to see you on Sunday. Don't forget, have a look at all the platforms and you'll see where we are and what we will be doing. All right. Have a good evening and thank you for joining me.